Dear students, we already completed first law of thermodynamics. Now we start second law of thermodynamics. Okay, first law of thermodynamics is also known as the law of conservation of energy. It says energy of the universe, total energy of the universe is constant. So when you take an isolated system, its total energy is constant. We can say energy can be converted from one form into another form, but we cannot create as well as destroy the energy. This is first law of thermodynamics. Then what is the need of second law of thermodynamics? Why we have to propose a second law of thermodynamics? For that, in our book, two examples are given. Number one, you take hot water in a vessel. Okay. So like a beaker or in any vessel, you take hot water. The temperature is around 70 to 80 degrees Celsius. You just leave it for some time. What happens to the temperature of the hot water? Will it remain as such or will it decrease? Definitely the temperature will be reduced. So we consider hot water in the vessel as a system, except this remaining things are surroundings. So there is a temperature variation between system and the surrounding. The temperature in the surrounding is around 25 degrees Celsius. Okay. So room temperature is around 25 degrees Celsius. But in the system, the hot water contains around 70 to 80 degrees Celsius temperature. So there is a variation in the temperature of system and the surrounding. And spontaneously, heat transfers from hot object into cooler object. This is general phenomenon. Always heat is transferred from hot object into cooler object. Thereby, the temperature in the system will gradually decrease. Approximately 80 degrees Celsius means the temperature will slowly decrease until the system and the surrounding having equal temperature. So hot water becomes cold water. The temperature gradually reduces. There is a transfer of heat from system into surrounding until the temperature will reach 25 degrees Celsius in both system as well as surrounding. This is first example. The heat transfer is a spontaneous process. We are not inducing it. Spontaneously, heat is transferred from hot object into cooler object. To take second example, we mix two solutions at room temperature, hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide. This is neutralization reaction. We get sodium chloride with the liberation of water. So we are not inducing the reaction. Once we mix two solutions, we get sodium chloride with the liberation of water. And this is an exothermic reaction. Heat energy is liberated during the formation of product. This is an exothermic reaction. This is a spontaneous one. We are not inducing it. Okay. So from these examples, we identify that the energy is constant. When we consider hot water as a system, or the chemical reaction takes place in a container as a system, in both the cases, the law of conservation of energy is proved. Okay. Total energy of the system remains constant. So first law of thermodynamics is verified. But we don't have any factor to explain the spontaneity of the process. We cannot say whether the process will take place or not. Okay, so we cannot predict feasibility and spontaneity of a process with the help of first law of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics explains the conservation of energy only. It does not say anything about feasibility of a process and spontaneity of a process. And this is a reversible process. Hot water loses heat energy, it becomes cold water. And this is a reversible one. Again, if we give temperature, cold water becomes hot water. Cold water absorbs heat energy. Again, its temperature will be increased up to 80 degrees Celsius. But this is an irreversible process. Once sodium chloride and water formed, we cannot get these two. Even by supplying energy, this will not be obtained. So this is an irreversible exothermic reaction. It liberates energy. If you give energy, the product will not give you a reactant. So the law of conservation of energy is verified for these two examples. That means the first law of thermodynamics is good for these two. But we cannot predict feasibility and spontaneity of the process. So that we introduce second law of thermodynamics. The first term introduced in second law of thermodynamics is entropy. Entropy. So already we studied enthalpy in first law of thermodynamics. So internal energy and enthalpy we already completed. So second law of thermodynamics introduces the word entropy. Okay. So entropy is a measure of randomness or disorderliness of molecules in the system. Take ice. At room temperature, ice melts, it becomes liquid water. When you take ice, the water molecules are closely packed, just like a crystalline structure. So when ice melts, the distance between the molecule increases. We can say randomness increases. The molecules are moving in a random manner. It becomes liquid water. You heat it again. At 100 degrees Celsius, this will become water vapors. So again randomness increases. So entropy is a term which is the measure of randomness or disorderliness of molecule of the system. Okay. So this is the term introduced in second law of thermodynamics. So in second law of thermodynamics, with the help of entropy and free energy, we can predict feasibility and spontaneity of the process. So that is our aim. We have to predict the feasibility. So entropy is introduced. Mathematically, entropy is denoted as the ratio of heat changes in the system to the temperature of the system. At one particular temperature, how much heat changes for the system. So this measurement is called what? Entropy. The definition is, it is a measure of randomness or disorderliness of molecule of a system. We write it as ratio of heat changes to the temperature of the system. So change in entropy, ds is equal to dq by t. Instead of d, you may write it as delta also. Delta S is equal to delta Q by T. So this is the formula of entropy. Entropy value for a system can be calculated using this formula. Heat change to the temperature of the system. Okay. So in second law of thermodynamics, we are going to study three statements. Okay. First statement is entropy statement. Entropy statement of second law of thermodynamics. It says, for a spontaneous process, entropy value always increases for an isolated system. You take any isolated system, when it involves in a spontaneous process, entropy value will increase. Okay. The process accompanied by an increase in entropy will be a spontaneous process. In any way you may explain it. This is entropy statement. So practically we have two type of process, reversible and irreversible process. When we consider irreversible process, the overall entropy change, we may write it as entropy change of universe or total entropy change, whatever it may be. The value will be a positive value. Okay, there will be randomness. For an irreversible process, there will be an increase of randomness, because what is entropy statement? For a spontaneous process of an isolated system, entropy value will increase. Increase means definitely the value will be greater than 0. Positive value. Okay. So total entropy change. That means entropy change of the universe is greater than 0. So universe means what? It is the combination of system and surrounding. So entropy change of system plus entropy change of surrounding. This is nothing but entropy change of universe. So instead of universe, we write it as total. So this will be greater than 0. That means entropy change of the universe value will be greater than the sum of entropy changes in the system as well as surrounding. This is the condition for an irreversible process. What about reversible process? When you consider a reversible process, in the forward process, randomness increases. So entropy change of a system will be a positive value. Okay. Then entropy change of surrounding will be a negative value. This is the case for reversible process. Okay. Entropy change of the system will be a positive value. Entropy change of the surrounding will be a negative value. Okay. So randomness increases in one case and randomness decreases in the other case. This is for reversible process. So total entropy change will be 0. Okay. So this is called a entropy statement of second law of thermodynamics. Next one, Kelvin-Planck statement. So according to Kelvin-Planck, it is impossible to construct a heat engine which absorbs heat energy from an object or hot reservoir and which will complete into work without doing some work. So you consider any engine, it absorbs heat energy from a hot reservoir. It converts the absorbed heat energy into work, but 100% conversion is not possible. Okay, so we are not able to construct an engine which completely converts absorbed heat energy into work without making some changes in the system. So some amount of energy will be given to the cold reservoir. Okay, so 100% conversion means there will be some changes in the system. For example, heat, some of the heat will be transferred to the cold reservoir. So according to Kelvin-Planck's statement, it is impossible to construct an engine which operates in a complete cycle, will absorb heat from a hot reservoir and which converts it into completely work without leaving some changes in the system, or some amount of heat energy will be transferred to the cold reservoir. This is the statement of Kelvin-Planck. Simply we may observe that 100% efficiency is not possible for an engine. An engine converts heat energy into work. For example, train engine. So when you take a steam train engines, the heat energy will be converted into mechanical work. So 100% conversion of heat energy into work is not possible by a machine. So 100% efficiency is not possible. This is the simple explanation of Kelvin-Planck's statement. Okay. So the scientist Carnot observed many heat engines and he found that the maximum efficiency of a heat engine depends on two temperatures. Okay, so there will be a temperature change during the conversion of heat energy into work. The maximum efficiency depends on two different temperatures: temperature of the hotter object, temperature of the cooler object, or how much heat absorbed, how much heat liberated. So this is the observation by the scientist Carnot. So efficiency of a heat engine can be represented as work performed. Work performed means heat energy is converted into work. Work performed to the heat absorbed. So the ratio of work performed to the heat absorbed will give you efficiency. As we told, 100% efficiency is not possible according to Kelvin Planck's statement. If you need 100% efficiency, means there will be some changes in the system. Okay. Efficiency symbol eta. Eta is the efficiency symbol. So modulus of QH minus modulus of QC divided by modulus of QH. We know that Q is the symbol of heat. Okay. So QH represents heat absorbed from hot reservoir. How much heat absorbed from hot reservoir? Now QC is heat transferred to the cold reservoir. Always there is a transfer of heat from hotter object into cooler object. Heat absorbed from hot reservoir, heat transferred to the cold reservoir. So this is the work performed. Okay, how much heat is transferred from hotter object into cooler object? This is nothing but work performed, and how much heat is absorbed from the hot reservoir. For performing the work, how much heat is absorbed? So that QH minus QC divided by QH. And this can be written as 1 minus QC divided by QH. Consider reversible process. For a reversible cyclic process, we already said the total entropy change is equal to 0. Total entropy change 0. That means entropy change in the system is positive, means entropy change in the surrounding will be a negative value. This is for a reversible cyclic process. We know the formula for entropy. The ratio of heat changes to the temperature of the system. Okay. So S is nothing but Q by T. This we already studied. So QH divided by TH. Heat changes during the absorption of heat from hot reservoir. Temperature of the system is equal to minus QC by TC. So entropy change is the ratio of heat changes to the temperature of the system. For system as well as the surrounding, we have written it. Then move the temperature terms in one side. TC by TH is equal to minus QC by QH. And you take modulus for this, it will be a positive value. Okay. So already we have written efficiency equation 1 minus QC by QH. In that, instead of QC by QH, you substitute TC by TH. So we know that efficiency of a heat engine is equal to 1 minus QC by QH. Instead of this, we write TC by TH. So according to Carnot, the maximum efficiency of a heat engine depends on two different temperatures. Okay. So we have obtained efficiency equation. Generally, the temperature will be more in hotter object. So the TH value is always greater than TC. Therefore, eta value will be less than 1. Then the efficiency can be expressed in terms of percentage. That means you multiply this by 100. So percentage efficiency is equal to 1 minus TC by TH multiplied by 100. So based on this, we have a problem. We take problem number 7.5. An automobile engine burns petrol at 816 degrees Celsius and the temperature in the surrounding is 21 degrees Celsius. Calculate the efficiency of the engine. So two different temperatures have given. What is the temperature in the system? What is the temperature in the surrounding? The temperature in the system is 816 degrees Celsius. 816 degrees Celsius. When we express in terms of Kelvin, 816 plus 273, 1089 Kelvin. When temperature in the surrounding, heat always transfers from hotter object to cooler object. So surrounding temperature 21 degrees Celsius, 21 plus 273, 294 Kelvin. We have to calculate the efficiency in terms of percentage for the automobile engine. Percentage efficiency is equal to 1 minus Tc by Th multiplied by 100. 1 minus Tc value 294, Th 1089 multiplied by 100. The percentage efficiency is 73%. So we have completed two statements of second law of thermodynamics. First one entropy statement, second one Kelvin Planck statement, third one is Clausius statement. So according to Clausius statement, it is impossible to transfer heat from cold reservoir into hot reservoir. This is general trend. Heat is transferred from hotter object into cooler object, but the reverse one is not possible. Okay, so it is impossible to transfer heat from cold object into hot object without making some changes in the system. We have to make some changes in the system, then only this transfer is possible. Okay. So we have completed the three statements of second law of thermodynamics. Next, what is the unit of entropy? We know that entropy is the ratio of heat changes to the temperature of the system. We know the unit of heat, joule. According to SI system, temperature is expressed in terms of Kelvin. So unit of entropy is joule per Kelvin. Next one, spontaneity and randomness. Consider ice. It melts exactly at 0 degrees Celsius to become a liquid water. So this is fusion, or we no need to heat it. Spontaneously ice melts to become liquid water. Then when we heat it at 100 degrees Celsius, it becomes water vapors. And in this conversion process, what about randomness? Definitely randomness increases. In ice, molecules are closely packed. Ice is converted into liquid water. The distance between the molecules increased. That means randomness increases. We can say entropy increases. From liquid water into water vapors, the gaseous water molecules are moving here and there. Randomness increases a lot. So entropy increases. For a spontaneous process, always entropy increases. That means the randomness of the molecule of the system will be increased. This is the statement of second law of thermodynamics according to entropy statement. Okay, next one, what is standard entropy change? In first law of thermodynamics, we studied enthalpy change, and standard enthalpy change. Standard enthalpy change of formation of compounds, standard enthalpy change of reactions. Many things we have studied. The same concept. Instead of enthalpy, here we are going to study entropy. Okay, the same definition. Standard entropy change means we measure the value at standard conditions. We measure the entropy value of a system at standard conditions. What standard condition we studied in enthalpy? 298 Kelvin and 1 bar pressure, the same thing. So the absolute entropy of a substance is measured at 298 Kelvin and 1 bar pressure. So this is standard condition. So entropy change is called standard entropy change. Next one. The absolute entropy of a perfect crystal will be 0 at 0 Kelvin only. Okay. So when you take a perfect crystal, the absolute entropy value will be 0 at 0 Kelvin only. This is called the third law of thermodynamics. So according to third law of thermodynamics, for a perfect crystal, absolute entropy will be 0 at 0 Kelvin only. It represents what? Above 0 Kelvin, the entropy or entropy change will be a positive value, 1 mark. Okay. So for any substance, when the temperature is above 0 Kelvin, the entropy value will be a positive value. It will not be a negative value. Okay. Then for a reaction, how can we calculate the standard entropy change? Standard entropy change of the reaction is calculated from the standard entropy of products and reactants. So as I told, like enthalpy, you apply the concept for entropy. We already studied. Reactants will be converted into product. So sum of standard entropy of products minus sum of standard entropy of reactants. From the entropy of reactants and the products, we calculate the standard entropy change of a reaction. Then, like standard heat of formation, we studied enthalpy change of formation of a compound. The same way, standard entropy change of formation of a compound. Okay. So the standard entropy change of formation is defined as the entropy of formation of 1 mole of compound from their elements under standard conditions. So how a compound is formed, how 1 mole of compound is formed from their elements under standard conditions. So that entropy is nothing but standard entropy change of formation. Okay, we have a problem. Here we are going to calculate standard entropy change of a reaction. So the reaction is carbon combines with oxygen, it forms carbon dioxide. We have to calculate standard entropy change of reaction. The standard entropy of all the 3 substances are given. For carbon, 5.74 joule per Kelvin. For oxygen, 205 joule per Kelvin. For carbon dioxide, 213.6 joule per Kelvin. Okay, so these are all standard entropy value. You have to calculate standard entropy change of reaction is equal to the formula sum of standard entropy of product minus sum of standard entropy of reactant. This is the formula. So first product, we have only one product. So standard entropy of product carbon dioxide is 213.6 minus sum of standard entropy of the reactants. The standard entropy of reactant carbon is 5.74 plus the standard entropy of oxygen is 205. So standard entropy change of the reaction is 2.86 joule per Kelvin. Next one, entropy of fusion. So when there is a change in the system, the heat change will be possible. Like that, entropy change is also possible. For any process, along with the heat change, there will be entropy change. So heat change to the temperature of the system is nothing but entropy. So always there will be an entropy change for physical transformations. Fusion is a process of converting a solid into liquid. Okay, so what is the formula of entropy? Entropy is the ratio of heat change to the temperature of the system. Okay, instead of Q, we may write H also. Okay, so entropy change delta S is equal to delta H by T. So this is fusion F. Entropy change of fusion is equal to the ratio of enthalpy change of fusion to the temperature. We already studied heat of fusion, molar heat of fusion. We studied the definition. So how much heat is absorbed when 1 mole of solid is converted into liquid at its melting point. So we already studied now. This is a formula. This is molar heat of fusion. Tf is the melting point of the solid. Next, entropy of vaporization. Vaporization is the process of converting liquid into vapor. Right? So, entropy change of vaporization is equal to the ratio of molar heat of vaporization to the boiling point. We already studied the definition. The heat absorbed or enthalpy change when 1 mole of liquid is converted into vapors at its boiling point. So, molar heat of vaporization to the boiling point. Next one, transition. Entropy of transition. What is a transition? This is the process of converting one form of solid into another form of solid. So many elements are exhibiting allotrophism. Carbon exists in different allotropic forms like diamond, graphite, fullerene and so on. Sulfur, monoclinic and rhombic, like that. Many allotropic forms are there. So entropy change of transition is the ratio of enthalpy change of transition to the transition temperature. Okay. So this definition we already studied. Enthalpy change when 1 mole of an allotropic form is converted into another allotropic form at its transition temperature. We already studied the definition. So TT is transition temperature. Next, a problem. Number 7.7. So consider ice which melts at 0 degrees Celsius and 1 atmospheric pressure to become liquid water. This is a fusion. The molar heat of fusion is 6008 joule per mole. Calculate standard entropy change of fusion. So we know the formula delta HF divided by T. So this is called the melting point. Okay. TF means melting point. So delta HF value 6008. Melting point of ice 0 degrees Celsius in terms of Kelvin 273. So entropy change of fusion is 2.007 joule per Kelvin per mole. So with this we complete entropy. So tomorrow we start one more term of second law of thermodynamics. It is free energy. Okay, thank you.